Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to This Is Reviewable
Haha, hey, what's up?
with Micah and Braden.
Episode 49 coming at ya.
Yeah. Okay, so this week we finished Vice Principal Season 1, which, who made this show?
HBO.
HBO made this show.
But if you really want to know who made it, it's Danny McBride, the guy that plays Gamby.
Really?
Yeah. He's the guy that wrote and created Eastbound and Down, and there's another one too that he has Walton Goggins in that he wrote and created also. This is one of his projects.
That's cool. If you've ever seen Hot Rod, he pretty much plays the exact same character.
Oh, he's in Hot Rod?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's Rico.
that's cool. Yeah. So
Um,
what's this about?
so this is about two vice principals. There's Gamby and Russell.
Yes, Lee Russell
Yeah, Lee
and
Russell.
Neil Gamby.
Yeah. Played by.
So Neil Gamby is Danny McBride, and Lee Russell is Walton Goggins,
Welding goggles.
right? Welding goggles.
And they're vice principals of Jackson High.
Yeah,
I think.
It's in South Carolina.
Yeah, it's in South Carolina. But pretty much the principal, he's stepping down.
Yeah.
And so one of the vice principals, Gamby or Russell, are thinking that they will be the replacement.
Yeah.
And it turns out they brought in an outside hire to be the principal.
Yeah.
And so Gamby and Russell are plotting. The whole season is about them plotting to get the new principal, Belinda Brown, fired.
Or just
have her leave.
Yeah, in whatever way they can.
And my word, do they do some horrible things to her.
Oh, they're awful.
They are not good people.
No. In like the first or second episode, they straight up burn her house down. They destroy everything in there and burn it down.
Oh my gosh.
And it's mostly Russell that's the actual psycho. Like he's out of his mind.
Yeah, he just does these horrible things. Like they broke into her house to see
some dirt.
Yeah, to find dirt on her, and they end up trashing the place. Like straight up all the decorations, throwing them, picture frames on the ground. At some point Gamby jumps on a glass coffee table, breaks it. And as they're like just lost in the sauce, pretty much trashing this place, you look over and Russell just has a lighter.
Like that lost in the sauce, like that kitten who's drinking milk and it's dripping down his face.
Yeah, that's them.
Yeah.
Trashing this house. You look over and he lights the curtains on fire. And Gabby's like, dude, what the heck? And like, it's too late now.
It's funny to watch that scene because you're just like, oh my gosh, stop. Don't break things. Oh no, don't kick the family portrait. Don't do that. And then you turn and Russell's got a lighter and you're like, oh god damn it, stop it. And you're just like, you're not really rooting for them because you're just like, you guys are going way too far.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man,
they're both pretty unlikable, just in different ways.
Yeah, like Russell is kind of a sociopath.
Yeah,
and
spits in his mother-in-law's tea
every day,
and he's like, because he's married to this Korean woman and she has her mother stay with them. And the mother-in-law hates Russell.
Yeah.
And Russell hates the mother-in-law. And the mother-in-law will just scream at him in Korean nonstop. And he goes to make the tea and he's like, Gamby, you let your emotions control you, not me. That bitch in there, she makes me go get her tea. Do I swear and scream at her? No. I do this.
He spits in it.
Massive just gob of gross, drooly spit in there. And then he mixes it and then serves it to her, comes back to the kitchen and watches her drink it. And he's like, now I own her. Just like, what's wrong with you, dude?
And then Gamby is just an emotionally stunted,
immature baby,
rage-driven asshole, I would say.
He's such a dick.
I know.
He goes on a field trip with the rest because he has a crush on one of the teachers, Mrs. Snodgrass.
Which is such a horrible
Ms.
last name.
Snodgrass. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, the single Ms. And he's got this crush on her, and he's he's feeling a little bit challenged by another teacher, Mr. Hayden, as far as Miss Snodgrass is confirmed
Concerned.
concerned is concerned. I'm having a stroke, I guess. Call a ambulance. Um, and he's just super passive aggressive, and basically whenever Mr. Hayden is talking, Gamby will interrupt and explain why whatever Hayden is doing is stupid. He's like, yeah, but we all know, Hayden, that I'm in charge. I'm actually the one in charge, and you have a bunch of what you just said was stupid. So that's all.
Direct quote, pretty much.
You know, just that kind of behavior, just really
Like
insecure,
a middle school
obnoxious.
bully,
Yeah.
basically.
But he's, you can tell that he doesn't have any friends,
Yeah.
and he's lonely, and that doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess his defense mechanism is he just lashes out at people and puts them down, and tries to make them feel like less because he feels like less. Not to
That's
get
a
all
really
not to get all deep.
Yeah, that was that was deep, bro.
What do you think, though? Do you think I'm right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he probably has if we're getting deep, he probably has abandonment issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because of his daughter.
Yeah. And so him and his ex-wife are divorced. His ex-wife is married to this really nice guy.
Yeah.
His name is Ray.
He's in a lot of stuff. Let me get his name real quick, because he's in a lot of different things. He was in Justified.
Shay Wiggum.
Okay. You'll recognize him. But yeah, he's just like a great guy.
Yeah.
And he's, every time, like, Gamby goes to where his daughter is practicing horse riding, and his ex-wife is there, and Ray is there. He's like, yeah, so I'm going to be the principal of the school probably coming up here. And the wife is just being a dick, right? She's a brat to him.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray's like, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you.
And he is genuine about
just
it.
Every single time they have an interaction, he's nothing but kind and sweet to this.
And Neil is always
Gamby.
like, shut the fuck up, Ray.
Just so mean. But there's a point where Gamby basically ruins his daughter's new hobby because he's trying to show off in front of Ray. Ray gets his daughter into dirt bikes, and Gamby decides to try and learn how to dirt bike so he can finally crush Ray. Crush his rival. And he causes a massive scene, and his daughter's like, "You're ruining this for me." And so Gamby leaves.
And he's like,
and has decided that his daughter is breaking up with him. And so he goes to the house and knocks on the door, and he brings her all of her possessions that were in his house. And he's like, since we won't be seeing each other anymore, I thought I'd bring all this stuff over. And yeah, anyways,
here's this ashtray that you made me.
It's honestly just too painful to look at.
Here's this baby picture of you, and he hands it to his daughter, and his daughter's like, this is a sonogram of me as an embryo. And he's like, yeah, it's just too much. Anyways.
And she's like, I just asked you to not come to dirt biking anymore, right? And he's like, please, I don't want to hear it. And he shakes her hand instead of hugs her.
Yeah. Like this super awkward way.
He's just a bitch.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe him. But in a weird way, because as we began watching this show, there's 9 episodes in season 1. Probably episodes 1 through 4, I was like, I hate both of these guys. I don't know if I'm really liking this that much. And then as episode 5 progresses to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9, I'm like, in a weird way, how much of an asshole both of these guys are is kind of endearing in a very weird way. And I got on board with it by the end.
Yeah. Was there anything you didn't like?
I thought that it was too much.
In the beginning?
Yeah. Just too much awkwardness. They're being...
But it's funny.
Rude and aggressive too much of the time. They're using insanely heavy swear words way too frequently for the situation. Just uncalled for sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this sort of feels like the trap that a lot of HBO shows can fall into.
Because they have the ability to.
Yeah. Just because you can doesn't mean you always should. Restraint is something that can go a long way in a comedy, especially. And I didn't feel like this show had any restraint in the first
No,
4
but it's so
episodes.
funny.
It is
It's
funny.
the situations that they put themselves in. But like I will say Neil being like Gamby being such like an immature little dick like is kind of awkward in the beginning especially.
Hmm.
And like as the season goes on, it gets better, but it is rough
Yeah.
in the beginning.
So let me paint a picture for you. Imagine that the two lead characters are this dislikable and this awful, and the show is not funny at all. Imagine that.
Mhm.
That's Gamora.
It's mean.
Micah,
Oh really?
those characters are so evil,
Oh
and you hate them, and there's no levity. Like there's nothing to break that tension.
yeah.
Anyway, that was a little throwaway. It was supposed to be a throwaway joke, and then I had to explain it a little bit. So now I feel like the joke is dead.
Okay.
Thanks. Now I got to break up with that joke.
Good.
I'll never see it again. I'm gonna drop off its possessions.
Okay.
Oh, Paperboy is in this.
Yeah, from Atlanta.
I was really happy to see him. I love that guy. Yeah, I mean, the simple way to put it is, at least for me, I was not really on board in the first half, and now I'm on board, and I'm excited to see season 2. Unfortunately, it was canceled, so
After how many seasons?
after 2 seasons, there's only 2.
Oh.
So we will see how season 2 goes, and then either lament the fact that it won't be coming back, or say, yeah, it's okay. I don't mind if it doesn't come back. But we'll see. We'll see how season 2 goes. Typically I find with a show that has a wobbly first season, it gets better in the second season.
Yeah.
Typically. That's not always the case. I can think of one very notable exception, but do you think I should say the notable exception? Do you think the people are like, which show is he talking about?
Give the people what they want.
It's The Witcher.
Oh really?
Yeah. The Witcher had a very wobbly first season, and then a dog shit second season.
Oh.
Anyways, you have anything you want to say about it more before we rate it?
I think that was good.
How's that? Yeah, it's simple. It's Parents Guide. It's an HBO show, so there's going to be a ton of swearing.
Yeah.
There are numerous sexual references,
Yeah.
and I don't think they ever show
Nudity.
nudity. Oh no, they do. What am I talking about? Yes, they do. So there's nudity. Well,
When? In the supply closet?
when they catch the kids in the pool room in the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, take your pick. When that other principal is breastfeeding in front
Oh
of
my god.
them.
Yeah, I didn't look at that.
When Lee Russell is trying to turn Belinda Brown's children against her, and so he shows them pornography.
Okay, yeah.
There's plenty.
Okay, I guess I blocked all of that out.
There is this is an adult show for sure.
Okay.
And there's even a little bit of violence at the end.
Yeah.
A little bit of violence. Oh, there's drug use also.
Yeah.
That was a pretty funny scene, because I mean, how much we shouldn't give any more plot points away. Anyway, there is a scene where Lee Russell and Gamby get high, very high, and it's pretty funny. They're seeing things, like they think that they have powers, and
That was so funny.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, this show's got a lot of funny scenes in it, and if you like Walton Goggins, you'll enjoy his delivery of his lines, and you'll enjoy the cat fights that he and Gamby have with each other, and it's good. And also, freaking Danny McBride has this really funny way of awkwardly stumbling through a sentence, like when he has to fire that woman who works at the desk. And she's obviously distraught, and she's been working there for years, and he's like, there's a professional way to handle this, and you're choosing not to react that way. Just like the way that he kind of like fumbles his way
Yeah.
through saying some of these things, and then he ends up going in a route that like not a normal human would speak, I feel like.
Yeah. Good. All right, should we rate it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I think I'm gonna rate this an 8.
Okay.
An 8 secret meetups in the woods out of 10.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 7. a 7. Geez, does Lee Russell dress up or does he dress up in this show?
Yeah.
I'll give this show 7 dandy schoolboy outfits.
Heterosexual dandy schoolboy outfits.
Yeah, out of 10. That's what I'll give it.
Nice.
Is there anything worth talking about spoiler wise? I don't. I don't
I
really
don't think
think
so,
so.
really.
Yeah, it's just a comedy. It's a comedy show.
Yeah.
So if you like the sort of rated R comedies that HBO puts out, you should give this a try. Keep in mind though, at least I thought it didn't really truly get entertaining until I was nearing the halfway point of the show.
Okay. You want to talk about Fargo? Did
Sure.
you finish it
Yeah, I did.
this morning?
Uh huh. I finished Fargo season 2.
Nice.
And it's, I mean, let's cut to the chase. It's just as good as season 1. It's very different though.
Because it's a completely different cast, also. No.
It's a different cast, it's a different story. So this is an anthology series, which means every season is going to be
Mm-hmm.
its own thing. There's a little bit of crossover. I'll talk about that in spoilers. Well, okay, there's actually a decent amount of crossover because one of the main characters in season 1 was Molly, the
Yeah.
officer, Molly Solverson. And in that season 1, her dad references this case that he had back when he was a state trooper, and he calls it the Sioux Falls case, and he references it a bunch of times in season 1. Season 2 is about that case,
Oh, that's cool.
so he's the main character,
That's really
the
cool.
dad as the cop, and that he's played by Patrick Wilson, who's in Aquaman. He's in the Conjuring movies. He's in Insidious. You've seen him before. And then you've got Ted Danson, who plays his father-in-law. You've got Kieran Culkin in this one. You've got the guy from Burn Notice. You've got
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons. You've got Kristen Milioti as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She's in The Penguin, and she's also in Palm Springs. The guy Bakeem Woodbine, he was really good in this. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything else, but he's great in this. And then I think I covered the main cast. I mean, it's a crime. This is more of like an out and out crime story, I would say, compared to the first one, where you had supernatural elements in the form of the antagonist in the first series. In this one, it's more of a straight up like sort of a turf gang war. You've got this German immigrant family that controls some part of Minnesota, and the Kansas City mob. Oh no, I think they control Fargo, and then the Kansas City mob is trying to move their way into Fargo. So you've got like a turf war going
Mm.
on, and people will get caught in the middle, like Deputy Solverson. So that's what this season is about. And then you've got this really probably the most interesting subplot. It all connects together, but Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons end up in a situation where they need to do some shady things without spoiling too much. And they're just this normal couple. Jesse Plemons is a butcher, and he has aspirations to buy the butcher shop that he's working in. Kirsten Dunst is a beautician, but she wants to self actualize. She feels like she's not getting the most out of life. She's not the best her that she can be. And so throughout the season, she's trying to be more than what she is, you know. Seems almost unsatisfied with her life,
Mm.
sort of a thing. But they get thrown into the mix and hijinks ensues. It's really good. The reason I said that it feels different, it's still got like that very funny, awkward, dark humor, the Minnesota Nice sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
that juxtaposes the insanely violent things that are happening on screen. But I think I finally put my finger on what feels so different about this season, and it's the editing. Because in this season, it almost feels like a Scorsese movie. Like if you've seen Goodfellas or The Departed or some of his earlier work, not really Killers of the Flower Moon, or The Irishman is a good example. How you'll have like kind of quick cuts. You'll have dialogue for just a couple of seconds, and then it'll cut to like a landscape, shot, and he'll be playing like some kind of pop song,
Mhm.
and it's very like kind of fast and jumpy, and then there will be two screens on the screen at once, and it's split down the middle,
Yeah.
and you'll see two different characters that are about to collide or doing. It's very like Scorsese like in the way it's edited, in my opinion at least. Maybe there's a better comparison, but that's as far as I've been able to put my finger on it. That's what I landed on. And season one's not like that. So it feels different. I think they're both quality wise as good as each other. There's nothing really wrong with this season. It's just going to come down to personal preference, which you prefer. I think I prefer the way that season one is more, and it seems like season three is starting out more like season one. So I'm guessing I'm gonna like season three a lot too, but not to say that I didn't like it. And I think that with an anthology series, you kind of need to do that so that your one trick that you figured out in season one doesn't go stale,
Mm.
right? So if you make season two feel really different and then you go back to the way it was in season three, you manage to keep it feeling fresh, even though it's like season one. And then you've got a whole group of people that love the way that season two feels, right? And so everybody's got their own favorite. I'm going to rate it and then talk briefly about spoilers. So I would give this, I don't remember what I think I gave it like a 9.2. I'll just give it a 9.2 because I think quality wise it's just as good.
9.2?
Yeah. You like that?
Why point two?
I feel like it's 20% of the way to being perfect.
Okay.
I do, as a personal preference, I do prefer season one, but my score stands. I think season two is well worth watching. It's a 9.2 UFOs out of 10. Okay, spoiler time. So I guess this is maybe my gripe about season two is
Did you do Parents Guide?
Parents Guide. Don't let your kids watch this show. How's that?
That
It's
works.
very violent. And in the first season at least there is sex, but I don't think there really is in season two. But this is a violent show, so don't let your kids see it. In the first season, the supernatural element takes the form of the main villain, Lauren Malvo. In this season, there is a supernatural element, but I don't understand what the point of it is. Because at a certain point, there's a massive shootout that's happening at a motel. This is the end of the season, basically. All the gangs and the cops kind of meet up and they start shooting each other, right? And then a UFO shows up. And the UFO shows up at the beginning of the series. Kieran Culkin's character sees it in the trees
Mm-hmm.
after he commits a murder. But you don't really know if that's what it is. Maybe it's just like some weird light that
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not really clear. And then he gets run over by Kirsten Dunst, and he's a member of the German immigrant family that has a gang in Fargo. So
Okay.
that's how they get wrapped up in it.
Okay.
So they kind of tease that UFO thing, and then there's other like little space alien nods throughout the series. But then the UFO just straight up shows up and is hovering over the motel parking lot as the shootout is happening, and everyone's looking at it like, "What is that?" And like they don't really address it. And I'm sure maybe there's a point. I don't know what the point is besides just keeping Fargo weird, right?
Yeah.
Keeping the supernatural element in there. So I didn't really love that too much. One thing I did really appreciate though is the Coen brothers created the original movie Fargo, and they're kind of legendary directors. They did The Big Lebowski, Raising Arizona, and No Country for Old Men, and True Grit, and all these great movies. There are so many scenes in this second season that are like direct homages to scenes from those other movies. So, for example, there's one scene where they're dunking someone's head in the toilet, and you see his face from the toilet view.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Big Lebowski, right?
Yeah.
When they're dunking his. Oh, I'm sure it's down there somewhere. Let me have another look. Tons of stuff like there's tons of lines that are absolute callbacks to previous Coen Brothers films. There's a villain who looks very similar to the bad guy in No Country for Old Men. He's got long black hair, gaunt face, wears all black, and there's a scene where he's chasing people in the street with a gun, and he like turns the corner, and
Oh my
it's the
gosh.
exact same shot from No Country for Old Men where Javier Bardem's character is trying to hunt down Llewellyn. So it's like lots of homage, but it's done in a really tasteful, classy way.
Yeah.
I really liked. Last thing I want to talk about, there's this hilarious scene where Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons have kidnapped one of the, basically like the main son of this German immigrant gang family, and they've tied him up, brought him to a cabin because they want to use him as a bargaining chip to get out of this whole mess and go to California and start a new life or whatever. And they're so nice, right? They're so nice and so polite, but they're willing to do whatever, you know? And it's really funny because Kirsten Dunst is feeding this guy some food, and he starts mouthing off to her, and she says, "No, you better not mouth off to me like that," or what, whatever she says. And then he says something insulting, and she stabs him with this like little knife that she has, or a screwdriver or something, right in the shoulder. And then the husband comes home, and he walks over, and Kirsten Dunst is talking to him, walks over to the hostage, and he's like, "Hun, did you stab the hostage?" She's like, "Nope." And then the hostage is like, "Yes, she did. You can't leave me alone with her." He's like, "Well, he needs to learn some manners. We're the ones should be mad at him." Just like, just this absurd situation where she's being so polite, but she's stabbing a hostage, treating him completely inhumanely. But because she's so nice and never says a bad word, right? Never swears or whatever, it's okay, I guess, It's just really funny. I was super impressed by Kirsten Dunst in this season. I don't think I've ever been so impressed with her performance-wise in my life. So, good job, Mary Jane.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's going to be it today. We need to release a third episode, or need to record a third episode because we're going on vacation. So, we're going to keep this one short.
Short and sweet.
Yep. What's coming up?
We don't know, do we?
No, there's a lot of movies I want to watch, but I don't know if time will permit.
Yeah.
Really. Lots of new stuff. Like, there's lots of sort of those Oscar baity ones that are coming out soon that we need to get on so that we can have opinions on them.
I will say I have been watching Shrinking season 2, but having to wait for the episodes to come out every week.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen season 1, go and watch it. It's good. I really like this show.
Yeah. Do you like the second season?
Second season's good so far.
With Roy Kent?
Yeah.
He's here. He's there.
He's every fucking where. Roy Kent.
He's in Ted Lasso. He's in Shrinking. He's every where. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. Adios.